In this video, we will find the domain and range of linear equations. Pictured are primary vocabulary words that you should ensure you are familiar with. If you're not, I recommend that you look in prior notes and possibly videos online. Number 13, use the graph below. What is the range of the graph for this situation? For number 13, it can be solved or answered rather very quickly without a calculator. However, knowing how to plug this into the calculator is a skill that will prove things correct as well as incorrect, meaning things are options or A, B, C, D. Okay, so before we begin, note that we're looking for range. So what does that mean? Let's go to the first line, okay? So it ends here. Remember, range is going up and down parallel to the y-axis. Oh, just a second. That means we're only looking at y values. So A and B are involving x values. This means they relate to domain, and we are not concerned with domain. So we can easily mark those out very safely. Okay, now we're left with C and D. And both of those say all real numbers, but C has a further condition. Well, we need to prove which one is correct. So I'm going back to where my first line is, and it involves 4. And I was saying that we are going parallel to the y-axis. Well, in this case, it's telling me that we're going to include the 4 because we have a closed dot. So everything that is 4 down. And then we go to the second line, and that begins at 3. And we include everything from 3 because the dot is solid. So we include the 3 and everything that goes up. And yes, some of you are like, well, that's pretty obvious to me. Well, it isn't always obvious to all students. It depends on the student. So if you see what it is, sure, move on, go to another video. But if you don't, you want to see what I do on the calculator, I'll show you. So let's go here. We're going to go to the y equals. Now, if you have a particular version of your calculator, your handheld like mine, you really don't want to use the first 2 options. I mean, I could change them, but I'd rather not because I need to use them for other things. Notice how they're different from the other y sub 3, y sub 4. The other lines are different, or rather rows. Okay, so I'm going to clear out the first one because I don't want it to show up on my graph. And then I'm going to go down, and I'm using 3 and 4. Okay, let's put on line 3, let's put the first line going down. So we know it's equal to 4, so type in 4. Now, we want it to be an inequality. So we want it to be equal to 4 and everything less. But I don't want it in black also. We need it to highlight for us. So black can't be seen on my black screen. I use a black background. Always remember what color your background is. If it's white, then you don't want to use a white line or white shading. But anyway, that being said, let's push enter and change that black to something else. How about yellow? Okay, so let's arrow over. You can arrow either way to find things. It doesn't matter. There's my yellow. I got lucky, to be honest. I never can remember what order they're in. So now I arrow down, and I need that to be a less than or equal to. So let me keep arrowing over. Now that is a greater than or equal to. I don't want that. Keep going. There it is. Now, I know that that is less than or equal to because if you keep going, you can find, see, that would be a not equal to line. There is one, if you keep going, that, and this one doesn't have it. It doesn't have that dotted. Okay, so that's good. Some of them, when you go, it'll have the dotted line. We don't want that. We want it to be equal or less, which is what we have. On the next one, if you see it or on your calculator, you move and it's programmed and you see the little dash line, you know to keep going till you have exactly what I do, okay? It all depends on the handheld and the version you have. Okay, and I've updated mine recently and I have it programmed to do other things. So some of the lines might be different. Now I'm going to go to the next one, which is the pink, and I like the pink. I'm going to keep it, but I need to put in the value that I want to start at, and I want to start at 3, but I want to say equal to 3 and up. Okay, so I go over, highlight it, enter, and I like my color, but I need to change that to, there we go, an inequality. That is equal to, greater than or equal to. Let me keep going and see if we find that other one. Now there's the lines that are not equal. It looks like I don't have it here, but that's okay. That's the one that I need. So I'm going to push enter. Now let's graph it. Let's see what it looks like. Oh goodness, that's pretty interesting. Now you might see there is a bit of an overlap. So let's zoom in, or rather let's make it fit. Let's go 6 standard. That's much better. Okay, and you could even zoom in. And now it's very obvious that we have an overlap of the both lines of the yellow and the pink. Well, what does this mean? This means that since we are looking for the range, only the range, that's all we focused on, we see that every single value, rather all real numbers, is what we want. There isn't a condition. There's an overlap, but that's not a condition. That just says, okay, we're going to use these numbers twice. That's all it's saying, that there's an overlap of values. This means, or rather verifies, option D. Using the TI-Nspire, we can do pretty much the same thing that we did on the TI-84. And again, I'll mention the TI-30 really isn't going to do us a lot of good. You just have to know how to solve the problem. Okay, now that I've said that, what we do is we look at where the two lines start and stop. And we are only involving range, or looking for range. This means A and B are not good options. For the first line, we need everything that is equal to or less than 4. And obviously for the second line, it's everything that's equal to 3 or greater. Okay, so how do we put that in the calculator? Well, the second line is y is greater than or equal to 3. The first line is y is less than or equal to 4. So we put each of those in separately in the TI-Nspire, and it'll give us the overlap like it did on the 84. So let me show you. We need to graph. So you can just go down and push graph, but my calculator already has some things in the sketchpad. So I'm going to open up a new document. So I'm going to go doc, arrow over, and I have it highlighted where I want it. Now there are other ways to get there. That's just the way that I've chosen to get there. Okay, so I push enter, and no, I don't want to save it, so get rid of that. Now I'm going to graph. That's number 2. Okay, so it has got things set up for me in F1, but I don't want it equal. I want less than or equal to, and I'm going to put in the first line. Okay, for the F1, I'll use that. Okay, so I'm going to delete that, and when I go to delete it, lo and behold, it gives me what I want. I want the first one. Okay, so I press enter. Now I type in a 4. Okay, and that's great. Okay, and I'm going to enter it because I want to keep it. But I want to enter another one. So let's go back to menu and go down to edit graph, and you'll find this interesting. Okay, I don't want to put in a function because before it said, hey, put your function in, and then I altered it. Well, I'm really putting in, if you see number 2, That is the relation. Now, if you go to a fresh page and you, instead of selecting function, you choose relation, then you'll do the step I have here for both of them. Either way, you can play around with it and you'll see what I'm talking about. So let's go with number 2. Okay, see what it did? It's going to give me relation 2. Now, if I arrow up, it's going to show me the first one we put in. Now I'm going to arrow down. Let's put in the second one, and that would be the second line. So that's Y. Okay, now I need my greater than or equal to. Well, what do we push? Control equal. And see how it gives me my options? Well, the second right below it, this one right here, so I'm going to arrow down. It went to it because I have a digital pen and I'm using my calculator, not my hand calculator, but I'm using the emulator on my computer and the pen kind of messes stuff up. It's not going to show you what you need. So what do? Push enter. Okay. And then we have it ready for our number 3. So now I have 3 and enter, and there you go. You have to know what you're looking at. We're looking at everything above 3 shaded, everything below 4, and an overlap, verifying that our answer is option D, all real numbers. Because you see that C says, well, we start at 4 and go down and nothing above. That would only be the first line, and that's not valid. So we have proven that it is option D. Okay, let's try this on another calculator. Okay, to look at number 13, rather the range of number 13, we will have to use the general Desmos Graphing calculator provided online. That's what I have here. Now, if you want to use your TEKSES version, which is for testing, that would be in your secured browser for like Aware or CMS. You'll know which one it is because depending on the district that you're going to school in. Okay, so let me show you why it doesn't work, or it's very obvious what the limitation is. So let's do y is less than or greater than 3. You get nothing. It is actually just not programmed in, so it will show an error. So let's go back to the general Desmos. It will show. So let's arrow up, and as I stated before, we start with the first line, and we know we want equal to 4 because it's a solid dot, and everything below it because that's where the line actually is headed. It's below. Okay, so what do? We do y is less than or equal to 4. Notice it does shade in for us. Okay, now go to the second line. And for this one, we want to start at 3, but we want everything that goes up. Now, why am I only doing that? Why am I going up and down? Because we only want the range, and that would be everything that's parallel to the y-axis. So we only are concerned with y values. Well, that of course eliminates A and B, so we're left with C and D. So we're trying to prove what we need, okay, or show it visually which answer, C or D. So on that next line, we need 3 and we need equal to because it's a solid dot. So 3 and everything greater. So all the y's must be greater than or equal to the number 3. And notice it shades above, and we have the same overlap we would have with other graphing calculators, which verifies if we look at all the values going up and down, it doesn't matter how far up or how far down we go. We will get every y value. So this tells me that it's all real numbers. C gives a condition, as I stated before. Any other condition means it's not necessarily all real numbers. So C is not valid, and we verified D. Thank you for watching. If you would like the materials that accompany these videos, you can visit us at numbersareradical.com. And once again, everyone, happy testing.